What's good, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back to another F1 video for today, man. The sketchy history of Marlboro and F1. As you guys know, yesterday we did check out like this crazy sponsorships like the Dark Side Formula 1. Shout out to BC Productions with the video. All credit goes to him. Great video. Cannot wait to check it out because yesterday Marlboro was like the main topic. Obviously, Ferrari was like a Marlboro. I think them and McLaren like the main like Marlboro like guest sponsors and F1 stuff like that. But I wanted to really deep just get more into it, just in terms of like how crazy Marlboro is in F1, just the history of it. So guess what? We are finna check it out. We are finna see what's on. As always, hope you guys are doing good and amazing on this lovely Valentine's Day. As you guys probably see, I'm making this video because your boy ain't got no Valentine's. Yeah. Yeah. But that's besides the point. If you guys are enjoying Valentine's Day, hopefully it's a good and a great one. As always, don't forget to like the video and sub as well to the channel if you are new. Appreciate you guys and girls. That's it. Mercedes did drop delivery. I don't care if it looks nice. Mercedes delivery looks absolutely nice. So I think that's all the new liveries as well for the upcoming season. So cannot wait for that. It's gonna be a good year. It's gonna be a good year. We're like slowly approaching the start of the season at Bahrain. Cannot wait for that. But as always, don't forget to like the video and sub again. Yes, I said that twice. Either way, let's get started.
Marlboro cigarettes are widely known for their iconic yet suspicious connection to F1. Their deals with McLaren and Ferrari are among the most iconic partnerships in the sport's history. But after tobacco advertising was banned from F1 in the 2000s, Marlboro had to get creative to bypass the new laws. From using illegal subliminal advertising to creating a fake shell company to advertise on cars, Marlboro tried everything they could to stay in the sport. The history of Marlboro and F1 is fascinating, and it starts in the 1960s. During the 60s, Formula 1 officially allowed teams to create partnerships with brands. This was a massive deal at the time, as F1 was, and still is, a very expensive sport that requires millions of dollars to compete at the top level.
Which it will always be like I know like we can say like, you know, like F1 teams, they just gotta just go with the right sponsor that's going to give them the right amount of money. Just look at Haas and the whole like Mazepin situation. So like, even go back to the 60s, 50s, whatever, like, you gotta go with the sponsor that's gonna give you the most money. And, you know, I was gonna, you know, give you, like, the most money, stuff like that. And that's where the tobacco companies came in, because obviously cigarettes back then, a lot of people would smoke cigarettes back then. It was kind of like the cool thing to do. So
sponsorships allowed teams to receive millions in funding from brands that could be put towards new car designs, salaries, and other essentials. In return for the spending, brands could put their logo on team liveries, which included the cars, the uniforms, and more. This brand new advertising opportunity led to many big brands becoming interested in the sport due to its massive exposure and potential for new customers. More specifically, cigarette companies were more eager than ever to advertise through F1, as increasing regulations made it impossible to advertise elsewhere. This, ladies and gentlemen, is where Marlboro enters our story. Marlboro sprung at the opportunity and quickly locked in their first official F1 sponsorship in 1972 with British Racing Motors, or BRM. Marlboro enjoyed its partnership with BRM for 2 years, between 1972 and 1974. However, it would be in 1974 that Marlboro would establish its first of two iconic sponsors in all of F1 history: McLaren. The partnership between McLaren and Marlboro lasted between 1974 through 1996.
I know I keep saying, but this is the hardest delivery in F1 ever, man. Like, it's just something about this delivery. It's just crazy. Probably because like so many greats have like driven it. Most notably, ooh, that was nasty, Ayrton Senna. But man, that's so cool. But you see with like the drug companies, you know, like once they seen like they were able to do it, they got straight on that. And plus they knew how big F1 was starting to get, with all the money that could be produced, stuff like that, and made. They knew. A staggering 23 years. During the 2 decades, McLaren was a dominating force in the sport thanks to Marlboro's funding. While the championships and drivers were a huge part of the McLaren F1 brand, nothing stood out more than Marlboro's iconic red and white design on their cars. The simple yet effective colorway was aesthetically pleasing. Marlboro became synonymous with McLaren by plastering their colors and logo on the front, sides, and sometimes the end of the car. Between the multiple championships, the iconic drivers, and the more iconic
iconic liveries, Marlboro was cementing its name in F1. They were making significant noise in the sport, while also acquiring thousands of new customers. However, as a surprise to many, Marlboro would end their partnership with McLaren at the end of the 1996 season. The end of this partnership removed Marlboro's iconic red and white design from McLaren's livery. But this wouldn't be the end for Marlboro in F1. That's because in the same year that Marlboro left McLaren, they decided to go all in with a new team. And this new partnership would forever go down as one of, if not the most iconic partnership in all of F1 history. Ferrari. Surprisingly, Marlboro and Ferrari had a history before 1993. They had been sponsoring Ferrari since 1973, a year after Marlboro started sponsoring BRM, but they were only a minor sponsor that appeared on the drivers' helmets and race suits. But it wasn't until 1993, 20 years after Marlboro first sponsored Ferrari, that Marlboro became the main sponsor of the team, and therefore returning the classic red and white livery, only this time on Ferrari's cars and uniforms. For the next 4 years, the bond between Ferrari and Marlboro became so successful that Marlboro became the title sponsor of the team in 1997.
Do you know what? I actually get it, because Marlboro's design is like red and white. Ferrari, red and white. McLaren, red and white. Like, it just fits. Like, it just fitted naturally. And of course, Marlboro going with two of like the most successful teams in history, and Ferrari, McLaren, like the money and like the success that can be made with that. Because they're like, McLaren, we're done with you guys. We won. We did great things, but now it's time to go on to greater pastures, and that's where Ferrari came in. But they've been with like Ferrari for like a minute though. But even though they weren't like a big time sponsor, they're still like a sponsor. Like, they still have some type of like sponsorship in that with that team. I mean, they're making moves though. Like, they were making moves. Like, you guys know me go much yesterday. Like, I don't really support, like the drugs and F1 stuff like that. But I mean, you can't really knock the hustle. Like, they knew like the money and stuff that could be made, and they got on that. Like, they got
Ferrari
on that.
became an unstoppable force throughout the rest of the 90s through the early 2000s. Once again, thanks to the abundant resources supplied by Marlboro. Not only was Marlboro giving the team an estimated $160 million a year, but they were also giving them skilled team managers straight from Marlboro's management team to cover the business side of the sport. Because Ferrari kept winning, Marlboro became increasingly established in the F1 scene. People constantly took note of the beautifully designed cars with Marlboro's colors and logo. The liveries for Ferrari were sleek, bold, and eye-catching. A perfect combination to draw attention from F1 fans. And these loyal F1 fans were the ideal demographic to become new Marlboro customers. Not only is F1 home to more than 500 million fans globally, but F1 has the greatest proportion of fans under the age of 25 within all global sports leagues, with the exception of the NBA. And for a tobacco company like Marlboro, younger fans are the prized possession for growing long-term sales, as a younger cigarette customer will last longer than an old one. However, Marlboro's F1 marketing plans would eventually come under heavy fire from regulators. In the early 2000s, talks of banning tobacco sponsors in F1 had been circulating a lot within the community. This was no surprise to most, as some countries had already banned them early on, including Germany in 1973. Because of these early bans, tobacco-sponsored teams, which were mostly all of them, had to get clever with their liveries when racing in countries where tobacco ads were banned. In Ferrari's case, they would replace the Marlboro logo with a blank white space, or put the driver's name next to the Marlboro chevron instead of having Marlboro printed. However, these loopholes within the law would come to an eventual halt for Marlboro and Ferrari. At the end of the 2006 season, the governing body of F1 officially banned tobacco advertising of any kind within the sport. This decision could not have come at a worse time for Marlboro and Ferrari, as they had just signed a 6-year, $1 billion sponsorship agreement a year earlier. With the tobacco ban in place, Marlboro and Ferrari had two options: rip up the billion-dollar deal and cut ties with each other, or get creative. And well, they decided to take the latter. To get past the new tobacco regulation, Ferrari and Marlboro decided to use a sneaky tactic called subliminal marketing. In short, subliminal marketing is advertising that uses images and sounds that the conscious mind is unaware of to influence people and attract them to a product. In this case, cigarettes. The only problem with this plan is that subliminal marketing of any kind has been banned since the 1950s. However, Ferrari and Marlboro were willing to take the risk. So, how would Marlboro influence the conscious minds of F1 fans without getting in trouble? The answer? Through Ferrari's infamous barcode. Since
that's a pretty big risk to take. I mean, if it's been banned for that long, and still doing it in some type of capacity and way, That's a big ass risk to take. I mean, jeez, jeez, man. I tell you, I tell you, I tell you, I tell you.
Marlboro became Ferrari's main sponsor in 1993. Ferrari had included a barcode-like design on their cars. The barcode started as a simple portrayal of Marlboro's logo, but as regulation of tobacco advertising became stricter, Ferrari had to evolve the barcode to make it less obvious that it was tied to Marlboro. They removed the iconic Marlboro chevron and added many white and red vertical lines to make the design look more abstract, while keeping the Marlboro brand colors. As you may have guessed, the idea was for the barcode to resemble the original Marlboro logo as loosely as possible, while still being recognizable. This iconic barcode was seen on Ferrari's cars, race suits, and everywhere else that carried the branding of Ferrari sponsors. Many also speculated that the barcode was designed with speed in mind. When the car sped past cameras and crowds, the blur of the barcode would transform into a softened image of the original red and white Marlboro logo. To Marlboro's delight, the barcode trick was working. Although nothing about the design advertised Marlboro cigarettes, everyone knew what it was promoting, making it a viable and somewhat effective advertisement. The barcode scheme would last an impressive 3 years without catching any suspicion from regulators. However, in April of 2010, Ferrari and Marlboro would hit a massive roadblock in their plan. The European Public Health Commissioner became suspicious of the barcode and asked the British and Spanish governments to investigate Marlboro and Ferrari's relationship, specifically whether the barcode design was a form of subliminal advertising. It only took a few days for news organizations to catch wind of the story and begin reporting about the investigation. Ferrari instantly began receiving allegations regarding the barcode, so they responded to the hate by saying, "The so-called barcode is an integral part of the livery of the car, as can be seen from the fact that it was modified every year and occasionally even during the season. Furthermore, if it was a case of advertising branding, Marlboro would have to own a legal copyright on it." Regardless of what Ferrari said, it seemed as if they weren't confident in their statement. That's because in May of 2010, a month after the allegations began, Ferrari decided to remove the barcode from their cars and uniforms. With that being said, Ferrari removed Marlboro as their title sponsor in the 2011 season. But that still wasn't the end of Marlboro in F1. But how? How would there be any way for Marlboro to advertise in F1? Tobacco advertising was banned, and they still got caught even when they tried to get around the law. Well, Marlboro had a solution. In 2018, 7 years after Marlboro was removed from the title sponsor status of Ferrari, a new brand appeared on their cars: Mission Winnow. At first glance, it's hard to tell what the company is, or what they even do, but take a closer look at the logo. Do you notice anything? Do those chevrons in the logo look familiar? That's right. Mission Winnow is a company directly linked to Marlboro cigarettes. And even more surprising, Mission Winnow doesn't exist, and they don't sell anything. It's a shell company through and through. A glance at Mission Winnow's website makes it obvious. Their website defines Mission Winnow as a change lab focused on reframing global conversations, sparking open debate, connecting people, and supporting the realization of innovative ideas.
That's so cap. So caps.
A pretty bland corporate statement if you ask me. Also, scrolling to the bottom of the website reveals a tiny logo of Philip Morris Products, who are the makers of, you guessed it, Marlboro cigarettes. So why would Marlboro pay millions of dollars to advertise a brand like this? Well, Marlboro was trying a new sneaky tactic called guerrilla marketing. It's essentially an advertisement strategy in which a company uses surprise or unconventional interactions to promote a product or service. In short, it's a publicity stunt. It didn't matter what the brand was or what it stood for. The whole point of Marlboro advertising a random company no one had heard of was to get people talking. This in turn would make people curious and look up the brand, only to discover that it was linked to Marlboro cigarettes. A crazy story like this was bound to make headlines, and it did precisely that. Marlboro's plan worked flawlessly, and they had millions of people talking about them once again. But not for long. Just before the 2022 season, Mission Winnow was dropped from Ferrari's sponsorship lineup due to suspicions from the governing body of F1. Marlboro's contract with Ferrari had expired, and they are no longer advertising in F1.
I tell you, man, they found ways. They continuously found ways just to have Marlboro, man. But I will say, Marlboro doesn't give up. Obviously, you know, it was sweet early on and stuff like that, but as soon as like F1 started putting these bans on like cigarettes, stuff like that, like tobacco products, them continuously find little like loopholes, stuff like that. I mean, you gotta give them credit. I mean, it's crazy, but you gotta give them credit for not getting them to still find loopholes to make money, sponsor teams, stuff like that. The crazy thing is, it was like, it seemed like all the other teams been moved on except for Ferrari. But that's crazy as always. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. Don't forget to like the video and sub as well. Take care, stay amazing, be great. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.